Hello everyone, this is Candy, the 614 Stitcher, and today is Saturday, October the 1st, 2022, and this is my Flosstube video number 56. I would like to say hello and welcome to any and all new subscribers. I so appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to check out my videos and see if I'm stitching something that will enable you. I would also like to thank all of my returning friends and subscribers for always coming back when I have a new video. It's been almost a month since I recorded my last video. I have made it no secret that I do struggle with mental health, and the past few months I have been on the struggle bus for sure. However, I am making a turn for the better, and so I thought that today would be a perfect day for me to come on and show you what I stitched for the whole month of September. I have some new starts for October and a finish for September also. So we're going to jump right into it because I have a lot of stitching to do. The last video I did was on September the 3rd. And at that time we were starting in the midst of the magazine monthly challenge group. We did an event called ABCingo, which I absolutely love. It changes up my stitching habits for a month, which is really great. I really enjoy the daily change. So I'm going to look at doing some of that changing in the months ahead to see if I can continue that. And when we get into plans, we'll talk all about that. So first up, I have, pardon me, a finish. I finished Square Dance October. And if you recall, this is a Keepsakes shop model that I have done. I stitched this on a 32 count vintage country mocha with all of the called for DMCs. In the month of October, they are all owls. The only thing that is missing is the eyes on some of the owls, and they call for French knots. And so because it's a shop model and I am not very good at French knots, I am going to let Miss Barbara put those on. But I will be getting that down to her. This was my 25/7 piece. I worked on this. I started it on September the 6th and I finished it on September the 18th. And I worked on it 25 minutes every morning before I started work. So that was my finish number one. I am going to take off my jacket because all of a sudden I have gotten warm. The temperatures, have gotten down. They've been down actually into the 60s for the highs. And I have not turned on my furnace yet. It's been in the 40s in the evening and in the 60s, upper 60s, mid to upper 60s during the daytime, but I have not turned on my furnace, so I'm just wearing sweat or hoodies so that I can forego the furnace for a little while longer. So that was my one finish. I also had two new starts for the month of September. As you know, I am participating in, one of my new starts was actually today, and I won't show that just yet. So I only have one for the month of September that I started, and it is Winter Bluster, and it is for the hashtag Garon Designer Focus, and the designer focus for the month of September was Glendon Place. And so I pulled a magazine. I've been wanting to start this chart for quite some time now. As you can see, it came out of the 2016 Just Cross Stitch Ornament issue. And sorry. Here is where I did get to. I did this this past Sunday on the Garon Zoom stitch. As you can see, I dyed this fabric myself. And I used a way different technique than what I normally do, but I do love the color. It's not coming out as great as it is in person, but so I did the first line, which is winter, and I am using all of the called for DMC flosses, and this is being stitched on a 28 count over dyed Monaco. And so I will be getting back to that. I chose for the Glendon Place Christmas or winter themed charts. So I will be pulling this back out again, either in December or January, February, somewhere like that, when we have it for the, when it's, when I need it for Magazine Monthly or another challenge that I'm into. So now I'm going to move on to my WIPs. I do have more new starts for the month of September because I also participated in Sampler September, but I'm going to show those as I go down through date order. So my first WIP is also a Glendon Place, and it is City Sidewalks, which I borrowed from Carolyn Zook. And if I took a before picture of where I was, it will be here. And so when I last showed this, I know I remember having in walks. So now I have completed the first 2 lines of the chart, and I have started on the 3rd line. This is being stitched on a 28 count Frost by Stitch Me, and I am using the called for threads. And the threads for these two are Purple Rain by Weeks Dye Works. I will not be using all of the called for colors. Purple Rain is just my jam floss, and so I decided to use that. I will be using the alternative DMCs for it though. So that's City Sidewalks. And again, that'll be coming out November, December, as it is a Christmas. It's a Christmas Carol. It's one of my favorites actually too. And so I was glad that I saw that Carolyn had finished it and was able to pick it up from her. Okay, I am going to go ahead on and show you another WIP that I had for the month. And it was my WIPGO call, and it was the call for both my numbers, which were the WIPGO numbers for September were 3 and 22, and it is Christmas Sentiments by Stony Creek. And here's a picture of where it was when I last showed it. And here it is now. I worked so hard to try to get this whole bottom portion completed before I recorded my video, but I have run out of time, and so this is where I'm going to leave it for the end of September. So when I last showed it, I had put in the L and the O, I believe. So now I've put in all of the words, both the top border and this border before the or after the letters are completed. And now I need to finish this circle border and the white zigzag border at the bottom. And that will be completely, the bottom will be completely finished, and then I can work my way up to the trees. This is being stitched on 28 count Harvest Moon by Color and Cotton, and I have done a thread conversion to Classic Colorworks and 1 Weeks Dye Works and 1 DMC. So I have 2 Classic Colorworks, 1 DMC, and 1 Weeks Dye Works that I'm using. If you would like, I mean, I chose colors that were close to the called for, but if you would like the thread conversion, please just comment in the description. Please comment, and I will, I can email the conversion that I'm using. Matter of fact, I can just go ahead and tell you what it is. So for the lighter variegated green, I am using Ivy by Weeks Dye Works. For all of the reds, I am using Cupid. And for the darker greens, I'm using steamed broccoli. And for the called for is Dirt Road, but I used 1216 for the 2 borders. It'll be the 2 borders and the basket for the one of the middle poinsettia plant. So that is that. I absolutely love working on this piece. I worked on it because of ABCingo. I did not work on it every day. I worked on it starting last Saturday all the way through last night. And so when I totaled it up, I am not a stitches counter, although I'm getting there, because with ABCingo, instead of doing just the 1 hour, I tried to do the 100 stitches. So I started counting stitches, and I put in 599 stitches in Christmas sentiments this time. So I was really excited when I tallied them all up, and I kept going and counting and counting and counting and counting and counting just to make sure that I had the right number. So my next WIP, and I had already showed this at the beginning of the month, but I'm showing it again because I actually finished it up, is the Twisted Rainbow Sampler. And if you recall, I needed to finish the band right before the butterflies. And I did just that. So last night I worked on finishing this band right here. I had the other rows in already. I just needed to do these 2 rows here. But it is coming along very nicely. I worked on this last night before I went to bed again. And so that's where that is. I'm not sure if I took a before picture for that. So I'm stitching this on 18 count white Aida, and I'm using 1 thread of DMC floss. And this is a Garon toting bag. I also have the matching grime guard. That's the largest bag that they carry. And I have one more WIP that I would like to show you. And it is Purple Rain by Heaven and Earth Designs with the artwork by John Enright. And I did get in my 300 stitches for the month of September. It'll be called again, or not called again. It doesn't get called. I stitch on this the 7th, 8th, and the 9th of the month. Well, I stitch on it until I get 300 stitches in it. How about that? And this month, or in September, I changed colors. I have a parked thread, and I started filling in some of this lighter purple. And so I still have a ways to go. I am stitching to get all the way over to the end of the top so that and then I will start working down. So this month, in a couple of days, I'll be focusing on this empty space here, and starting, because these colors, these purples, are also in these stitches over here that are open, so I'll be filling in those stitches as I'm working those also. And that is my Purple Rain. I am stitching this on a 18 count Ada dyed by EJ with the called for anchor flosses given to me by Miss Joy Lisa, and I am loving it. I also found a project tracker card, and I'm going to start using this to calculate how, so that I'll see the days as I'm going down. It's unfortunate that I'm just now finding it because this went from 2021 all the way to 2023, but I will start using that so that I can keep track of how many days it is taking me, because I know that during, like, as I keep going down, I'll probably end up having to increase days for the 300 stitches. So that is Purple Rain. Okay, so now I think I have touched on everything of all of the WIPs that did not get into ABCingo. And I did that. I purposely, sorry, I'm trying to get my highlighter. I purposely did not include those in ABCingo because I wanted more than just 100 stitches or the 1 hour. So okay, so I showed you all the way up until September the 5th because I had done a floss tube on September the 5th. So now on the 6th of the month, pardon me, the letter A was called, and my letter A was Ink Circles Arranging Leaves. And here's a picture of where it was when I started it. And here is where I ended up getting to. So what I did is I focused on, and this is 100 stitches, I focused on putting in all of the, I don't know what to call it, all of the surrounding stitches and not putting in the color. So I just went through and put in the leaf shapes. And I love this also. I should have put it in my plans for October, but I have lots of other projects that I need to be working on. And I actually started this project on March the 10th, and that was for Ink Circles Month for the Garon Designer Focus. I am stitching it on a 28 count beige Jobelin by WIPGO, and I am using the called for DMC threads on that. I love that piece. I really do. So on the 7th, the letter was R, and I put Rising Sun. Ooh, sorry. Some of the bags I went through and pre-opened, and like now I'm like, what are you doing? And that is Seasonal Sun Sign. And I also use this for the hashtag EFWSal, which we participated in on September the 21st for Earth, Wind, and Fire Day. And I had a great day that day. Me and EJ stitched for like 4 hours. I was up way past my bedtime. Way. But we got in a lot of good stitching. And so here's a before picture of where it was when I started it. And here is where I am now. So I focused on getting, this is the winter season, and I focused on getting in all of the white. I still have more to do, getting the white put in. And I am stitching this on I wrote it down to a 16 count ivory Charles Craft, and I'm using the called for DMC flosses. And I really enjoy it. On the so I had put in the stitches for the ABCingo, and then on the 21st I just kept adding the stitches to that portion. I will be putting beads in for the sun. I follow, her name is Miss Gail, and that is what she did when she finished hers, and I loved it. So I'll be using Mill Hill beads to fill in the sun when I get finished with it. A lot of these charts I have been working on for quite some time, and so I'm going to start looking at getting them finished for 2023. It's time. Just new. So that is my seasonal sun sign and my earth, wind, and fire Sal piece. I'm sorry. My big life update for today is that my son is flying in from San Antonio, and he just texted me and said that he is in Tennessee and they are about to board. So I'm super excited. It's been 2 years since I've seen my son. And been able to put my arms around him and all of that. And so I'm super excited for when he gets here. My next project for ABCingo was a new start. And it was C, which was September the 8th. bag was hard to open. September the 8th, the letter C was called, and my project was Jan Hicks Creates, and I use Creates for my C, and it is Stitch Happiness. This was a new start for me on the 8th, and I am also participating in Sampler September with this project. And so here it is. I am stitching this on a 40 count Heritage silk weaver. It was a gift to me, and I am using the call for Classic Colorworks DMC and Weeks Dye Works. And here is where I am. I have the A, the B, the outline of the flower, C, D, and E already put in. I love this chart. It is very well done. I am loving this fabric, and I think it's going to look really beautiful on here because it has some really good modeling on the fabric, which is why I chose it. And it was the right size. I have a friend who has gone through her 40 count and has gifted me some pieces, and so it makes me very happy. I have this in a bag that was done for me by Vicky StitchNButton. She is in Florida. She sells her bags and accoutrement in her Facebook group, and I will link that down below. So that was Stitch Happiness by Jan Hicks Creates. We had a we all sat together at StitchCon, and so anytime we said anything to her, I would say Jan Hicks of Jan Hicks Creates, because that's the way Carolyn always talks about her. Jan Hicks of Jan Hicks Creates. And so I just thought it was hilarious. So every time I needed to say something to her, that's exactly what I would say. And I got in a total, I need to give you my Purple Rain stats. Okay, I'm going back for a second. So on Purple Rain, I stitched the 7th, the 8th, and the 9th to get in a total of 364 stitches. I have 2,013 stitches done so far, and I am at 2.86% complete. I know, don't laugh, it's not funny. I think it's awesome because, like, it's the full coverage. On my Jan Hicks Creates Stitch Happiness project, I have stitched a total of 228 stitches on that project. So I'm very pleased with the amount of stitching that I have gotten in on those two so far. This project is probably the only project that I was only able to do the 1 hour on. I don't know what had happened that day, but the letter for the 9th was E, and for E, I used Evil Queen, which is the name of the fabric, and this is by Bestitch Me. And it's beautiful, like it's being all washed out, but it's a beautiful purple and blue fabric. And the name of the chart that I'm stitching on this is called The River by Modern Folk Embroidery, and I received it in a Black Needle Society box. and I am stitching the middle portion, the flower and the urn, and I am using DMC Blanc for that. And I did not write down how many stitches that I got in for that day, but I know it was only an hour's worth of work put into it. And so someday this month, I put in 55 stitches that day. I actually kept record on some of them. I wish I'd have had the forethought to do it on all of them, to keep how many stitches that I did stitch on all of them. So I'm actually going to put that aside because I want to put in at least, 55, 45, somewhere in there, more stitches, so that I can get it to the same point where all the rest of my WIPs are for the month of September, even though, September's over. My next project for the 10th was Y, and for the letter Y, I chose the word New York, or York, and then new. And that chart is Rosina Disary 1820. And it was a new start for the 10th, and it was also for Sampler September. And here, I'm going to have to hold this really close. Here is where I ended up. I am stitching this on a 28 count cobblestone color and cotton with the called for DMC threads, and I put in 158. That is, so these threads are parked, and that is a total of 158 stitches, which is the very center flower on the chart. This chart, this top line is all 1/1. All of the words are 1/1. Only the motifs on the sides are 2/2. So I have all of this 1/1 stitching, all of this, and this bottom part. And man, oh man. I watch Stitching Mommy Sarah, and she does a lot of 1/1, and I can't. I was like, phew. I did use my magnifier the whole entire time. I'm thinking that for when I stitch on this again, I'm gonna have to pull out the 5-time magnifier. The one that I have that I use constantly is a 2 times magnifier, but I think I'm gonna have to go with the 3 times because 1/1, and I know there's a lot of people that do it. It can be done. I can do it. I did do it, but man, it was rough. But I loved it. Once I got the feel for the thread, again, the thread and the tension for 1/1, I ended up being fine. It was just taking me a little time to get there. So for the date, for the 11th, I stitched on, now that was also for Sampler September. For the 11th, the letter T was called, and for my T, I used Tudman, as in Harriet Tubman. And here is a picture of where it was when I last showed it. And here is where I am now. I'm pretty sure I filled in the parts of the face. I was looking to see. I need to pull my project card out. I have this in a bag that was designed and made by Lynn X Stitches Creates. Oh, here we go. I am stitching this on a Dryads saddle, which is Dryads saddle, which is by Fortnite Fabrics. It was in their very first Fabric of the Month club, which was mushrooms and flowers. It's a 16 count, and I'm using the called for DMC flosses. And I know I got in 100 stitches, so I must have stitched like her hair. You know, I chose a color and that's what I stitched. So her hair through her face. Yep, I said right here, 158 stitches. I'm glad I wrote all of this down because I'm like, phew. Yeah. Look, I'm looking at my working copy, and so it does say that I stitched this part of her hair, this section of her hair, and all the middle, this middle part of her face, and a little bit on this side. I love her. And I love it on this fabric also. So let me show you. I mean, it's a beautiful fabric. It is perfect. So I will be working on her more. She probably will not come out again though until February for Black History Month. But 158 stitches was really good for one day's worth of work. So that was the 11th. On the 12th, the letter B was called. And my B is a Nora Corbett Bella Butterfly, which is this right here. And here's a picture of where it was when I last showed it. And here, and here's where it is now. So when I last showed it, I only had this butterfly motif done here. So I brought down this, it looks like, well, let me show you. It's this, there's stitching. This is all chronic on the top of it, and then those stitches are underneath, and I worked on the face. So this is part of the face. I'm using Almond M&M's silk color floss, and it is Bloody Sunday is what I know the name is, but that's not the yeah, Bloody Sunday and Voting Rights Act. It's 1965 is what the color of the skin is, and it matches my skin the closest. I am stitching this on a color and cotton Neptune. And the reason why I chose this fabric to stitch it on is because it mimics. So in this picture, what looks like fabric is actually stitches. This is a full coverage piece. I chose not to do a full coverage piece and use the Fabric of the Month from Color and Cotton, which is like spot on. So that's what I did with that. So she has a long way to go. Also, I put in 121 stitches on her. And I have everything, like when I kitted it all up. This is in a Garon toting bag. And I got the accessory bag for all of the beads and everything that goes with it. On the 13th, the letter D was called, and my D is Doreen Jones. And my project is Home Sampler. And here's a picture of where it was when I last showed it. And here is where it is now. So I decided to start, okay, I got a whole bunch of stuff sitting around. So I decided to work on starting the tree. So this is 100 and seems like 119 stitches. So I put in the first color of green, the second color, and the tree trunk part. And my little parting threads. And so that is where that is. I could have promised. I'm right. Oh, yeah, 119 stitches. I'm like, where did I write that at? As I was going through, I need to make some of these projects have not, I haven't made project information cards on some of the older ones that I've been working on since I changed over and started doing that, and I need to do that. I need to find time to do some admin stuff for my cross stitching. That's terrible. I need admin minutes for my cross stitching. So that was Home Sampler, and it is by Doreen Jones. It was B. Got to make sure I put everything back in its right bag, because one day I looked up and I had a card that was in the wrong bag, and like then I made another card because I was like, I know I had this card, where to go. So then I had two cards, which was a wasted index card, and then I had to use it for scrap. Okay, so on the 14th, the letter N was called, and my letter N was Cross Stitch Nation. This is by Heartstring Samplery, and here's a picture of where it was when I last worked on it. Now I'm trying to think. Okay. And here is what I have now. I'm trying to see where. So I put in this thread. She will be holding a needle. And I put in the arm and the hand, and this is starting where her chest is. Yes, this is starting where her chest is. And not her chest, but her neck. That's her neck right there. I am using, so this is, the fabric is a 14 count. Nope, it says 16. It's a 16 count off-white Aida. And I did not get in 100 stitches for this either. It was one of them days. So I'm going to leave this one out also. For the threads, I am using DMC Variations. No. Mulan threads. I'm going to show you what the Well, maybe I'm using two different ones. I literally went through and picked out DMC colors that had all kinds of different colors in them for my for their dresses and pants and all of that. So this, yeah, Mouline with a little dash over the N. And so that is what I'm using. On this next lady, her dress will be a variation of all of these colors. And I am doing a skin conversion, and I am just using different skin shades or colors of skin shade. So the next lady will be Caucasian, and her skin color is 9 something another. Ooh, oh, I'm pulling stuff in. Yeah. The first dress, the lady in the first dress, those are Leo. That's a Leo and Roxy thread color. So I need to really focus on this, because this is a piece that I have been working on for quite some time, and I need to get it finished. So I need to pull it out, because a lot of the ones that I want to put some focus into to push them closer to a finish, I'm going to be doing something a little different for next year. And so I need to put this one also to the side. Because I've had it on WIPGO, I've done this, I've done that, and it's not coming along fast enough, and so I need to get it moving. I'm looking at this because it's got all kinds. I got notes everywhere for this project because I'm doing so many changes on it, which is probably not helping with the moving it along, because you know I gotta look at the change and then reevaluate the change, and it's just too much. I need to just get it moved and keep it going. The next letter for September the 15th was G. Oh. And my G was gobble, gobble. And I can't show it to you because I don't have a cover photo. I just have the chart. But it is a Stitching with the Housewives. Oh, maybe I do. Oh, I do. So this is the pattern. Gobble, gobble. And I started this last year on Thanksgiving Day. I remember that. And here's a picture of where it was when I last showed it. And here it is now. So I put in the next gobble. I worked on the leaves. I put in some outlining for the leaves. And I don't know how many stitches. I didn't write it down on it. But that's where it's at. I am stitching this on a 14 count black Aida. And I am using the called for Classic Colorworks. I am not using the called for, oh yes, no I'm not. I'm using the called for DMC. Because I just was like, it's small, the variegation, you know, you won't see very much of it. And so I decided to just use the called for DMC. So that was the 15th. On the 16th, the letter Q was called. And my Q is Winter Quaker. And here's a picture of where it was when I last showed it. And here is where I am now. I put in the little backstitch snowflakes. I put in 5 of those. And then I started, this is at the bottom of page 1. So I finished the bottom and actually went over to the top of section 4 to finish out that thread. I then put in this motif, which is at the bottom of page 1, and this is also at the bottom of page 1. I am right at the bottom. I also put in these backstitch snowflakes over here also. I am at the bottom of section number 1. And man, I need to really get some good work in on this. This is the start of a huge motif. Is it? Yes. This is the start of a huge motif, which is this motif right here. So I'm going to be working. And also on this motif also. So this is the motif. I'm going to see if I can hold this up and show it all to you at the same time. Okay, so this motif right here is this one here. Then this one is this one. And then this is the top of this part right here. So I'm also stitching the backstitch snowflakes as I go, because I did not want to wait and do them all at the end. Also, I'm using those as counting spots to make sure that I'm putting everything in the correct placement. This will for sure be coming out in December. I should make it, I gather ideas from several different Flosstubers that I watch, and the Pattern Queens, Laura, Landis, and Katie. It's not Katie. I'll think of her name. Laura does this thing where she has a snow day project. And so whenever it snows, she works on that project. And that's what I need to do with this project, and pray that we get some snow. Because there's some winters where we get very little snow. And so it would be nice to get some good progress in, especially with that next really big motif. I was looking to see if I wrote down how many stitches I put in that day, but I didn't. But I can tell you it was more than 100. Because with these projects, I worked on the project the whole day. Like, I didn't do, normally in times past, I have done the hour and just moved on. But clearly an hour is not enough time, at least not for me, to work on some of these. So I was like, okay, you're going to do the 100 stitches and see how far you can get with that. So on the 17th, the letter U was called. And my letter U stands for Ursula Michaels and Imaginating. And here is that chart. And here's a picture of where it was when I started working on it. And here is where it is now. Pardon the hanging threads. I was working on this. So I had to take out flurries. It was in the wrong position. And I re-put in flurries. This is all back stitching and let it. I then came over and put in this snowflake here, these stitches, and this is the start of the W for winter. I did not, because I know that back stitching you have to count 2 as 1. I just worked on it all day long, and I feel like I got a lot of good progress in on it. I need to, of course, you know, there's always, that's a recurring theme for me. I need to do more work on it. I need to do more work on it. However, I only have so many hours in a day, and so my progress is what it is. But I do love this piece. I don't own snow globes, but I think they are beautiful. Maybe someday I'll own a snow globe. And so that's why I'm working on this chart. This chart should also be a snow day chart, but I can only choose one. So that was U for Ursula Michaels. Let's Be Frozen is the name of the chart. And if you are looking for these charts, you can contact Keepsakes. Their phone number is always in the description box below. They have a lot of the Imaginating charts. That's where I've been picking mine up from. On the 18th, the letter Z was called, and my Z stood for Zweigart. And on Zweigart fabric, I am stitching Autumn Peg by Loohoo Stitches. And here is a picture of where it was when I started working on it. And here is where I ended up. I put in the bottom part of her skirt, and I started coming up the sides of her skirt. This project, the morning that I needed to work on it, I had a hard time with keeping the counts. And so she will be coming back out in October, November for some more work. But that is my Autumn Peg. It looked like there was something on it. I was about to have a fit. It seems like I needed like 18 more stitches to meet my 100 goal on this. But I'll be pulling it out again. If not, no, I won't be pulling it out for October, but it'll come back out for November. And so that was Z. On the 19th was the letter S. And my letter S is Stitchograph by the Fat Quarter Shop. And here is the cover sheet for it. And here is where it was when I started working on it this time. And here is where I did get to. So let me pull out my working copy because that will tell me where. So I put in, this is part of the frame. I don't know why the name has just gone out of my head. So this is part of the frame, the hoop. There we go. This is part of the hoop, and then I put in, this is part of needle. This is part of even weave. I finished the chart, and I think that was all that I worked on. I might have put in cloth on the side also. Yeah, because I didn't write down how many stitches I did that day. And now it's been so far along that I can't remember, which is terrible. Maybe I wrote it on my blackout. Nope. I didn't, but that's where we are. I'm going to end up probably turning that piece into maybe a travel piece or something. So like when I go to Keepsakes, since it's words, I can stitch on it easier. Okay, so the letter O was for the 20th, and my O stands for Old West, which is the fabric for my sunflower fairy. And this is what she looks like. She was, this is a Nora Corbett pattern that was in a cross stitch magazine that was gifted to me by my friend Julie. And here's a picture of where it was when I first started working on it. I must have got tired of writing down the numbers. And here is where it is now. So I put in this leaf tendril. I did some more work over here. I finished the inside of this, and it's all the way to the bottom now. This is where her foot will start. I brought this is the flower that's right here. This is the flower that's right here. So I put in all of those stitches. I need to go back and count that. I'm sure it's over the 100 stitches. So now all I need to do for the bottom part is put the beads in, which I'm going to wait to the very, very end, especially since I need to watch like several tutorials on beading. I've never done that before. And I need to put it in the sunflower bud here. And then I can start on the girl, which starts here. I will be doing a skin conversion on the girl. I'm not sure exactly what color I'll be. It'll be one of Almond M&M's color silks, skin tone silks. But that will be what I will do when I pick this up again. I love it. I'm going to watch plenty of beading videos before I try to do any kind of beading, because I do not want to do all this work and then put in a bead and jack her up. So that was my Sunflower Fairy, which was my O for Old West, which is a color and cotton fabric, 28 count. And I chose a color conversion. I'm doing a color conversion, which Tina Stitches helped me with. And so if you would like to know, it's basically matching what was called for with overdyes. Okay, so on the 21st, J was called, and my letter J is January Cottage by Country Cottage Needleworks. And here's a picture of where it was when I started working on it. And here is where it is now. So I put in some more red. I filled in, yes, I put in the windows, those two windows. No, I'm sorry. I put in this window and the door, the bottom part of the red here, and I brought the white all the way from over here to over there. I am doing this. January is my birthday month, and so the January birthstone for January is a garnet. And so when I started this, I thought it would be really cute to make the house in the color of my birthstone. And so and then when I looked at it the other day when I was stitching on it, I was like, it looks like it could be an OSU house. OSU is Ohio State football team, which I am a supporter of. So it could be either or. I am stitching this on. I lost track of my whole train of thought. I put in 140 stitches. That's what it say, but I don't believe that. I am stitching this on a 16 count, 14 count Ada, and it's a Hobby Lobby when I used to shop at Hobby Lobby. So what is that? Artisy. And I need to get it moving. And I did do. So like the roof is 413. There's two shades of red, white, and the leaves and the banner across the top are the called for. Sorry, I seem to be all over the place right now because I'm like, where are the cards for these? So now I'm going to have to either look. These probably didn't have cards because they're older. Okay, so on January, right, on September the 22nd, the letter W was called, and my W was a new start. It is also for Sampler September, and it is Woman of Honor Sampler by my friend Rebel Stitcher Designs. She made her designing debut at StitchCon this year, and this is what the sampler will look like. I am stitching mine on a 40 count Country Mocha Newcastle linen that was gifted to me, and I started in the upper left corner. And because it's 40 count, I did the hour on it. I did not put in the 100 stitches. I am using one thread. I'm looking for my, because I know everyone I do now should have a project card in it. Yeah. Yeah, started it on the 26th. And this is a beautiful fabric. It's getting really blown out, but it is really pretty. And this yellow was the only color that I was even concerned about. And it's really light on the camera, but it's perfect in person. So I did start that. I'm trying very hard, like, not to show anything, because I have shown stuff on the videos, and then I have to remember to go back and blur it out and all of that. And so I'm trying to be extra careful. And this bag is a Lynn X Stitches Creates bag. I guess I've been neglectful in telling y'all that part too. Did I do it? See, I did it again. I'll blur it out. What I need to do is flip the back page, because it only happens when I go to put it in the bag or something, and I need to flip the back page so it's in and not out. Okay, all of these bags over here are taking up a lot of space. This is also a Lynn X Stitches Creates bag. And this is Riley Blake fabric that you can find online. I'm sure they still have it. The 23rd was the letter K. The Women of Honor sampler was also for Sampler September, if I didn't mention that. Like, I feel like I'm flying through now because I'm at 1 hour and 12 minutes. And my son plane lands in 45 minutes. The letter K by Nora Corbett, which I started this year in January for the Garon Designer Focus. And here is a picture of where it was when I started working on it. And here is where I ended up stitching to. So, yes. This, I started right in the center. When I did it when I started this in January, I started in the center, and then I came down a little bit, and then I went back up and came around, because this comes down. This is the green that she is holding, and it's called something, and I know the name of it, but I can't think about it, what the name is. So I started here and then came back around to get this part in. Yes. And so I'll be working on that for a while, because it's a lot. That is a lot of the chart. When you know, like, it's on the tip of my tongue. I know what it is, but I cannot pull it out of my mouth for nothing. So this is the greatest part of this. So I'm working on this. And then the K is the next biggest part. I will be doing a skin conversion on her. I am also considering doing a dress conversion, which is why I'm just working with the colors that are called for right now. All of the called for colors are Classic Colorworks. And it's funny, this chart is old enough to where it was not Classic Colorworks. They were Crescent colors. So that was funny to me. Old things become new again. I am stitching this on a 28 count gray Lugana. And I'm going to be using all of the call for Classic Colorworks, and the Chronic. And so, you know, that's the letter K is for me. And that's where I worked on for that. So then on the 24th, the letter L was called. And my L is Love and Joy by the October House. And here's a picture of where it was when I started working on it. And here is where it is now. So I put in and joy. I had to unstitch the V and the E that was here. So I restitched the V and the E and joy. And if you notice, I had in this, there was a line underneath that is now also unstitched, because it was off by a half a stitch the whole way over. It was too close to the L. This was a Jolly July start in 2021, and I put in 150 stitches for this. I am stitching this on a 28 count light gray even weave, and I'm using the called for DMC. And I need to pull this out and get it finished for Christmas, or yeah, for Christmas this year. I love this piece. That was L. This is actually a makeup bag that I bought at CVS. It was like on clearance or something, but it was big enough. Like, I don't wear this much makeup. Hardly, never, ever. But I was like, man, I won't use it for a makeup bag, but it would make a cute project bag. And so that's what I did. The 25th of the month. I've made it all the way through the 25th. And I had maybe 2 projects that I needed to I needed to move forward. One of them was the, I didn't stitch on it on the call for day, which was Winter Quaker. I waited until a Saturday so that I had more time, because I knew it was going to take me longer to get the 100 stitches in. The only project that I did not get the 100 stitches in, I believe, is the River, which is on the Evil Queen fabric. Okay, so on the 25th, the letter F was the last letter left. And my letter F is Faith and Endurance by Lori Holt. This was my, here's a picture of what it looks like. And this was my travel piece for going to Keepsakes. However, I went to Keepsakes and stitched on something totally different. So who knows, you know. You stitch on what you want when you want. Here's a picture of where it was when I started working on it this time. And here is where I am now. So I completely fill in that side piece with all the white stitches for this. So now when I pick it up again, I can do all the white stitches for here and put in the staircase, and the church will finally be done. Can I get an amen? So I have decided that with this pattern, I am going to put in everything except for the border. I have looked at that border and I am just not in the mood. And even, you know, if it's next year, I'm not going to be in the mood. So everything else will be stitched except for this border. I am stitching this on a 28 count Harvest Moon by Color and Cotton, and I'm using the called for DMCs. And I started this last year for ABCingo. So it's fitting that, maybe not, but it's fitting that I'm still using it for ABCingo. Quite a few of these projects I have used for ABCingo in the past. Well, this is the second this is the second year we've done this. So I've used these, a few of them already for ABCingo. And that, my friends, is the whole month of September. So I am very pleased with all of the stitching that I got done. I stitched every day. It was great to have somebody to tell me what to do, to stitch on, just stitch on a letter this, and me just do it and not have to think about it. I love these challenges. We have them twice a year. The next one coming up will be WIPGO, and those are more prompt based. And in their last video, they did a joint video, Carolyn and Robin from the Pacific Northwest Stitch Summit. And they talked about some of the changes that are going to be coming to the group, which I thought were great. So when they put out the WIPGO prompt sheet, I'll be jumping on board, and because these challenges, I love these challenges. So I am going to take a minute and get this all cleaned up, and then I will come back with my purchases, acquisitions, stuff that I purchased that I shouldn't have really purchased, stuff that I purchased that I might have not have needed to purchase, all the purchases. Okay, so now I'm back for the haul portion of the show. I ended up having a mishap. My credit card got hacked, and it's the primary card that I use. So I had to go around trying to get everybody that I, already had my card on their file. So this is just part of the haul. I'm still waiting for like my Color and Cotton to come, my fabric, and I think it actually will be in the mail today. If I do happen to get it before all the uploading and editing is done, then I'll add it. I'm also waiting for my Cottage Garden threads. It's funny, some days my delivery person will deliver my parcels first and then deliver the mail, and then other days he'll deliver the mail and then the parcels. So, but nevertheless, I purchased a chart this morning from Etsy from Salt and Pepper Stitching. Her name is Emily Call. And I'm using it for my magazine monthly challenge this month for the letter E, and the E stands for Emily Call, and it is thankful. And I have had this hearted on Etsy for quite some time, and so this morning when I was working on my acrostic, I was like, oh my goodness, I need to purchase that. I am going to go with a darker fabric. It does call for, well, she didn't actually call for any specific fabric. I guess she's just let you choose your own fabric size. So I'll be stitching mine on a 28 count unless I have a good 32 count. I'm thinking about doing it on a lighter green, so that the I want to show you the chart. Look, I was about to show you the chart, so that the leaves will still show up. The call for threads are DMC, and she has some wonderful cross stitch patterns in her Etsy shop, so please go check her out. The name of the shop is Emily Call. Her name on Instagram, however, is Salt and Pepper Stitching. So I will be adding this into my stitching for the month of October. I also purchased a Juneteenth needle minder from Rebel Stitcher Designs. She does still have these in her shop. I meant to purchase them in June, and just everything just seemed to have gotten away from me. And she also sent me this wonderful sticker. I purchased another Nurge hoop from Amazon. This is the smaller one. I have the larger one, and so this is the size comparison of them. And it has all, I've already been using this. It does come in handy because you know, when I have a smaller chart, they have come in handy. I do like, now that I've figured out the whole getting the tension of the fabric correct, I love these hoops. So far, I have gotten in 2 of my Fabric of the Month Club. Again, I'm still waiting on my color and cotton. I put the new number, I put it in wrong, and so anyway. So I did get my Bestitch Me Fabric of the Month for September, and it is called Sand Dollar, and it is fabulous. Like, I'm already trying to think, like, what can I put on here? I am getting, this is a 32 count. I was able to switch over to a 32 count, so that's what that is. And then I did get in my Rogue Stitching fabric. And this must be for September. And it is called Tombstone. It is much darker than what is showing up. But it is really, really pretty. It is much darker than that. And now it looks like blurry. That's about right. No, it's still darker than that. But it's a pretty fabric. I love their fabrics. And then I got all of this came at the same time because I, you know, updated my number. So I got everything like within a week of each other. So the first my first thread club is Classic Colorworks, and I'm in the Fat Quarter Shop's Thread of the Month Club. And this month was September 2022, and it is called Praline. This is the Floss Fix Club. And this is fresh brewed roasted chestnut, bramble bush, brown sugar, old oak tree, and gingerbread. Those are some nice autumn colors, nice browns. And for the Weeks Dye Works Floss Frenzy Club, I have Bee's Knees, Schenectady, Sage, Putty, Sandcastle, and Beige. And that's the Floss Frenzy Club. Oh, that looks really good right there. So those are my floss clubs for this month. Again, I'm still waiting on my cottage garden threads from Garon Stitchery. And I also received my Fat Quarter Shop Stitch Quarterly bag. And I love these bags. I need to find something to stitch on them. I have every one of, I've actually purchased a few outside of the club, but then with the club every quarter I get a new one. And this one is a darker gray gingham. And it's really nice. And then, you know, with this club, you receive the fabric, which is a 14 count Aida, and it is platinum. You also receive the threads and a John James needle. And you receive the chart, which is Fall is in the Air, and I think this is the cutest pattern. It has a little fox and trees with autumn leaves. I have a friend that wants to learn how to cross stitch, and she just had a baby, and her baby's theme was like woodland animals. And so I am going to be gifting this chart to her to stitch, because one of the woodland animals in her invitations and decor looks just like this little fox. So we will probably both be stitching it, and I'm going to stitch mine on even weave, and she can stitch hers on the Aida. With that, they also give you the needle minder, little cute fox face. And this month, and these bad boys, I don't know where they made these from, where they got them from. Sorry for all the crinkling. But these, they call them cloth keepers. You know, we use them also to like pull the fabric, gather all the fabric up when you use Q-snaps. But these suckers are, look, through my skin. They are strong, very, very strong. And they're the heads on them are very large, and they have the little cute fox face on them also. So that is the haul that I have for this time and that I got for last month. I opted not to really not participate, but not make any purchases from Expo. I have so much, and although there is so much out there that I love, I just needed to take a step back and gather my thoughts and use some self-control, because there's some things that I want to do, and so I need to make sure that I'm making wise financial decisions. So, you know, the haul for the next few months might be a little less, just because I need to be financially responsible in the coming months. I another little life update, I have decided to change jobs. I believe that my current position is a lot of the reasoning for my mental state. And so I have decided to take another position. And so I just want to make sure that, you know, I'm doing everything responsibly that I need to as far as my finances go. I want to do all the retreats and this and that and the other. And because I'm a single woman, I don't have a husband or a partner to help with bills. So I need to just make sure that I'm staying on top of everything that I need to be responsible for. So, you know, I will still be purchasing haul. It just won't be gobs and gobs and gobs of haul like it has been. I am going to go over my plans with you, but if you have decided that you have seen enough, I thank you all so very much for staying with me this long. I thank you for those of you who continually reach out to me to make sure that I am doing okay. Again, I make it no secret that I do live with mental health issues. And when they come, they last too long. I am also going to the doctor. One of the things that I had not thought about is the fact that the medication that I take for my depression, I've been on that medication and that dosage for a long time. And in speaking with my therapist, she suggested that I contact my physician and have them maybe look at increasing the dosage for a little while. You know, your body gets used to certain things over, you know, the more you do it, the more it's in your system. And so since I've been on the medication and the dosage for a number of years, that maybe it is time that they relook at what I'm on and how much of it I am on. So I'll be taking care of that next week. And hopefully, you know, with the change of my job and some medication changes and some other changes, I will get back to being 90%. I never strive. I would love to be 100%. For me, 100% is just okay. I want to live every day in the best possible condition that I can be every day. And some days 100% is not possible. That's just me being real. So we'll see what happens and we will go from there. I have been doing some planning, and the first set of plans I want to talk to you about is, as you know, I am a part of the Garon Designer Focus group, and for the month of October, it is they go by two names I've found. They go by the Cricut Collection or the Cross-Eyed Cricut Collection. And so I have a few charts that were gifted to me from a lady. I used to be in a quilt guild, and once they found out that I was a cross stitcher, they started gifting me all sorts of charts. And so these are some older Cricut Collection charts. This first one is called Bits and Bobs 1. And it has autumn themed, Christmas themed, and then more Christmas themed down at the bottom. The copyright on this chart is August of 1993. So that's one. And The chart is fine. I think it would just need, maybe some updating or something. This is not the one that I'm going to be working on though, but I do like it. The next chart is called P's and Q's. And these charts are still available. I checked 1, 2, 3 Stitch for the 2 charts that I wanted to work on because I could not find them in the Garon cross stitch store. But P's and Q's is still available. And it's really cute. And if this was like the summertime or spring, I would probably do this. As you know, I am a seasonal stitcher. I like to stitch in the season. So that's a cute one. And then the last one that was gifted to me is called The Great Pumpkin Conspiracy. And this is the one that I will be starting today or tomorrow. I really like this chart. I am not a Halloween stitcher at all, but a harvest or autumn stitcher I am. And so even with all of the black crows on there, I love this chart. I have made the decision that I will not be getting the silken colors for the chart. However, I am going to pick and choose cottage garden threads for these leaves that are very heavily, these are the silken colors where these leaves show at. And so I'm going to use my cottage garden threads. I'm going to just go through the ones that I have and see which ones closely match those, and that's what I will be using. I have already chosen my fabric for it, and I will be using a 40 count that was gifted to me. And it is really close to the called for. The Cricut collection, they actually give you 3 separate size charts, 14, 16, and 18. Do you see me talking? Go lay down. 14, 16, and 18. However, I'm going to use a 40 count that I have gifted. And it will also help keep it in a smaller scale for me. And so that is what I will be starting either today or tomorrow. The bulk of the threads, other than the silken colors, are all DMC. So I'll be using 1 thread over 2 threads on the fabric. And then the last one I actually picked up, and I'm not sure if I'm going to start this. I should, but it is January. And if I start this, I'm going to start it. I need to find a different fabric choice. And with that means I'm going to end up doing a thread conversion on it, a color conversion. But I purchased this from 1, 2, 3 Stitch. I couldn't find it anyplace else. Starting today, however, in the Garon Stitchery, all of the Cricut collection charts are discounted. And so if you are wanting to participate and get some great Cricut collection charts, please head over to the Garon Stitchery and see if they have what you are looking for. I know last night I watched their shop video, and they do have a few charts. Like they have winter. Cricut collection, not only did they do all the months, they did the seasons. And so I had thought about getting the beach, and I'm still thinking about that because I love everything beach. And I do know Megan, Georgia Girl Stitching, did the winter, and I'm pretty sure, knowing her, she did the beach also. So you can head on over to Garon Stitchery and check out what they have in their Cricut collection selection. I made a rhyme. Okay, so in the Magazine Monthly Challenge group, this month it is Choose Your Own Holiday, and I am really on the struggle bus. When you see what I've chosen, you'll be like, well, why don't you just choose Thanksgiving? With picking my theme for this month, but I have went through and picked all of my acrostics. So I will be starting for F. The acrostic is festive, and for the letter F, I will be working on Let Us Be Thankful Row by Bent Creek. And the reason I chose that is because the fabric is Fox Run. So for my letter E in festive, I have chosen Cross-Eyed Cricket, which will be my new start for the Garon Designer Focus, and that is The Great Pumpkin Conspiracy. For the letter S, I use my WIPGO draw, and the numbers for WIPGO were the number 1 and the number 6 for the month of October. And so my number 1 project is Mouth of the Flower. And then the number 6 draw was A New Start for Summer, with the theme of summer. And so for that one, I will be working on Summer Quakers, which was gifted to me earlier this year. So that'll be a new start also. And then for the T in festive, I will be working on a whip that I started for Thanksgiving last year, and it is Shannon Christine's Thankful and Blessed. And this is on her Facebook group under the freebie tab. So that's the letter T. And then for I will be going back to my Ink Circles Arranging Leaves project. For the letter V, I will be working on Black Work Pumpkin. And how I came up with V is that there is a DMC color variations thread that is used in here. It is the DMC number 4124, and it's a variation. It's orange, and it has some yellow in it. And if you hold, I have it. If you hold on for 1 second, I'll bring it back over. And so this is what the variations by DMC looks like. It has this long plastic cover on it. I did notice when I was at Joann's that they are no longer selling the Etoile DMC. And I need it. I need some Etoile for a project that I'm going to be working on. I'm going to check Michael's and see, but if you all have heard whether they're discontinuing that color, that line of thread, could you let me know? Because I was shocked. I did see that they are now, Joann's at least, is now selling DMC wool thread. So maybe they've done away with the Etoile and I'm just not in the loop. So for my second letter, I showed you my second letter, E, is my Emily call thankful. And so that will also be a new start. Some of my other plans for this month are I will be working on the Twisted Band Sampler on the 4th. Sorry, my head is itching. The Twisted Band Sampler, which I work on the 4th of the month, every month. And I will also be working on Purple Rain on the 7th, 8th, and 9th probably, so I can get my 300 stitches in for that. And then on October the 7th, I am joining in with EJ and many others. And I know Miss Sheila is doing it. There are a few others of us that are all joining her in her new start for a shadow lane. And I will be working on the Tiny Marie Antoinette's Rose Garden Shadow Lane. Is really small, and it was a freebie on the Shadow Lane site. I'm sure you've seen it by now. I know that Miss Sheila has been talking about it leading up to October. So those are a few of the plans that I have. I am not very sure how much actual stitching I will get in this week, as again, my son is here, and we have projects and things that we're going to be doing around my home. So I will be stitching, I'm sure, early in the morning like I always do, because he doesn't get up as early as I do. So I do plan on doing some stitching while he's sleeping or out visiting family and friends. So I'm sure I'm off all this upcoming week, thankfully enough. And then when I go back, I will be starting in my new position. So it will, it'll be an adjustment for a little while. I did receive in the mail, the postman did bring my parcel back, like I said he would. And I did receive my cottage garden threads for October. Yes. And this one is called Wattle Blossom. I'm going to look these up because I know they mean something on Australia. So Wattle Blossom, which I'm sure is probably a flower. Lemon Myrtle, and I do know myrtles are bushes or trees. Marigold. Buttercup. And Butterbean. So I'm very excited about those. I really love these threads. And so I'm glad to be in that club. So that is all of my plans for this month. As far as my magazine monthly challenge, the sales or new starts that I'm participating in with friends, I am thankful and grateful for you all who care enough to keep me in your thoughts as I've been going through the last few months. I am very grateful to have people that reach out and that care for me. Life would be a lot different if I didn't have that kind of support and help. And so I'm grateful to you all. I hope that you are able to enjoy your weekend. We have leaves turning here because the weather has gotten cooler, so it'll be time to do leaf raking pretty soon, which will get me out and get me into some exercise, which I desperately need. Okay, well, I think I have said all there is to say for this episode. Thank you so much again for all of you that continue to support me in my floss tube endeavor and in my stitching. I appreciate you all and hope that you all have a very good week. Until I see you again, goodbye.